Oh man, I will never forgive your ass for this shit. This is some fucked up repugnant shit.
Jules, did you ever hear the philosophy that once a man admits that he's wrong, that he is immediately forgiven for all wrongdoings? Have you ever heard that?
Motherfucker that said that shit never had to nitpick through a movie on account of your dumb ass.
I got a threshold, Jules. I got a threshold for the abuse that I will take. Now, right now, I'm a fucking race car, rat, and you got me the red, and I'm just saying that it's fucking dangerous to have a race car in the fucking red. That's all. I could blow.
Oh, you're ready to blow?
Yeah, I'm ready to blow.
Well, I'm a mushroom cloud laying motherfucker. Every time my fingers touch Pulp Fiction, I'm Superfly TNT. I'm the Guns and Averone. In fact, what the fuck am I doing the intro? You're the motherfucker who should be on intro detail. We're fucking switching. You're doing the intro.
Okay, in case you hadn't guessed, Victor and I will be reviewing Pulp Fiction together. Of course, this is, widely regarded as one of Quentin Tarantino's best films.
Okay, I guess where we should start is by asking which is the best scene in the movie, or which is the best part of the movie. This movie is broken down into various parts, and they're pretty clearly defined, though they all intersect. Quantum, what's your favorite?
Not sure. There were several parts that I thoroughly enjoyed, but I suppose my favorite scene actually related to one of the less important characters. I don't remember the name of Bruce Willis's character. Yeah, in one rather infamous scene, Butch and the man he was chasing and proceeding to beat up are both captured by a couple of perverts who were waiting for Zed, I believe his name was. And there was some rather strange imagery. The interrogation was very tense. So you see Butch and the person he was looking for tied to a chair, and there's a gimp character who is introduced as quite threatening, but actually ends up as rather a wimp. That was actually a part of the film's black comedy, I felt. But ultimately, Butch, he stands up and saves the life of a person he had been willing to kill only about an hour back. But before then, throughout the entire film, we see, murder, drug-taking, various other crimes presented as everyday life, and even in an adventurous style. These criminals are presented as as roguish, charming, but as I said, very adventurous. So the act of Butch saving the life of this person he wanted to kill a while back, it does entertain the notion that people, however immoral or even bad, they can still redeem themselves to an extent. Willis killed someone in the ring, but walked away from it, and yet in saving this enemy, he did, I suppose, atone somewhat.
Yeah, I have to say that the Butch story in general was pretty much my favorite part, and I did think a lot about the him saving. I can't remember his name, but the mob boss guy. I guess I didn't think too much about the reasons, but just the idea of it being they were enemies up to a few minutes ago, but then they shared an experience, they shared suffering, and his humanity took over above his common sense. And I thought that was a really great scene that sort of showed a mix of, I guess what you were saying, basically, the sort of humanity even within the criminal element concept.
It seems to me as Tarantino acquaints us with the main characters of Pulp Fiction, and introduces them to us as pleasant, fun-loving, even polite people. It looks to me as if through Pulp Fiction, Tarantino sought to question how bad lifestyles can affect good people. The consequences of bad criminal lifestyles for ultimately good
I guess I never really thought of them in terms of like good or bad, especially since I think most of those guys would be petty bastards, even in the best of circumstances.
But they were still likable, petty bastards.
Yeah, even John Travolta, whose character, like, he was for me, he was at the edge of being likable. I guess that's something we could talk about, is the characters. For me, like John Travolta, they had basically that entire thing with him and Uma Thurman. They had a lot of chemistry. It was a very interesting scene, but you just could never sympathize with him. And I don't know if Tarantino intended this, but in that just sort of, it was almost a throwaway death for Travolta's character at the hands of Butch.
Often when I'm reviewing a film, I'll start by outlining say the problems I had with this film. Say if it's a film I generally enjoyed, then I feel as if the faults offer the most to discuss. I thoroughly enjoyed Pulp Fiction. I thought it was a riveting film, but as you said, John Travolta's death was, I suppose, a throwaway death, and I am aware that, Tarantino structured Pulp Fiction in the style of old pulp novels, hard-boiled fiction, I believe they call it. So the film is essentially just a chain of somewhat connected stories. But I do feel as if Tarantino left a few of these plot threads open. Say he didn't offer any resolution. They seem to drop out of significance. Say, as you said, Travolta and Uma Thurman had great chemistry together. So you gain the sense of not only gaining a friendship, enjoying one another's company, but testing each other. Say, I suppose they were both part of the criminal element and saw themselves as equal. Say, this relationship seemed more genuine than her bond with her husband. But afterward, say a while afterward, you see, Travolta and Uma Thurman's characters meet at one point, and they just seem to casually notice each other. Their bond isn't brought up again. I actually liked John Travolta's character, so I was actually disappointed to see him die so abruptly. To see him get shot so abruptly by Butch. But I was also slightly sad to notice that once again it wasn't acknowledged. It was never brought up again. So yeah, I think some of the unresolved plot threads probably would be the only problem I had with Pulp Fiction.
And I think the plot, the unresolved stuff is actually part of what I really liked about it. The idea that, as strange as it seems to the viewer, these people are living their lives, and it's just, that is kind of how you would greet someone who you've had an experience with. For instance, like you were mentioning Travolta and Thurman's characters meeting later in the film. The casual thing is sort of realistic to me. The idea of, okay, so we shared this experience, but we really don't want to talk about it ever again. And so that fit, and I thought that was actually kind of genius. The something that Shred actually brought up, Shred Ninja, I was talking with him. He said that the film being put out of exact order is one of the reasons it's considered so good. How do you think that if this played out in order, it would be as enjoyable? Because, for instance, Butch's story, as far as I can tell, is pretty much the end of the film if you were putting it in chronological order. Because Travolta actually dies way in the end. The end happens first, or happens like second, I think.
I think it would have been just as enjoyable as a film, as a narrative, but it wouldn't have been as distinctive. I think Tarantino didn't need to present the film out of order, but he did make the film more unique in doing so.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Another thing, remember I mentioned that, some of the unresolved plot threads are the only aspect I didn't like about Pulp Fiction.